they do have that same outcome of wanting to see change and improving their country, improving their land, improving their business, but they can't do it with conventional ways with lots of inputs. Hence, seeking an ecological way of achieving that same outcome.
You need to change what you're doing and not use any fixed pattern or structure to any grazing management, because that just results in simplicity in the ecosystem, which then basically simplifies the community and reduces biodiversity.
We've implemented, as best I can, Dick's grazing practices.
The soil is feeling a bit softer. There's a bit more granulation in there, a little bit more crumb structure, if you like. The roots seem to have got into the gravel at least. The bulk density was one of the things that you guys have measured, Elisa. And I remember that we couldn't break those tufts open like that before, so that has changed. Still got that slightly chemical sort of smell to it, but that may well be the moss that's giving it that smell. Every time it's reaching its potential, bringing the stock back to try and allow it to continue to stretch the boundaries of where it's been before. And we're hoping that in that process the animal nutrition should be better too. A little bit more bulk to go with that high nitrogen or high nitrate sort of scenario that we saw before. That really loose crumb action, which you can see on this side without just disturbing that whole thing, that's really pretty. That brand new root growth in there with the white ones, new shoot coming up from underneath. So that's really good all the way down into here. The idea is to try and get those crumbs to develop further down. But look at the roots down in there. That's got a very nice smell to it, this one. There's a big change that's occurred across both paddocks we've been to so far. We've got the roots down in this paddock. We've achieved more or less what you're wanting to do in the short term. It won't hurt to leave this paddock for a little longer, and if you want to, or use it as a priority paddock at toe level if it's going to get you out of trouble and allow other paddocks to get a longer recovery period. We've made an investment into this paddock. The investment's there if you need to get a bit of payback out of that paddock. If you can get something back, if you need to get something out of this paddock, it owes you a little bit now, and it'll be fine to do so, to get it. But alternatively, when you do these extremes of Sabbath and short recovery period elsewhere, you've got to have a whole lot of paddocks that are in between that are going to be neither here nor there. This paddock's ready to be that paddock. Seems to me that there's an increase in the fungal portion of that soil or community, as opposed to those other ones that were very bacterial. And this is one of the things that I've found when I Sabbath paddocks in the Burrawa area, is that stock were really easy and comfortable in paddocks that I'd Sabbathed. Having said that, I've been to paddocks in Gippsland, East Gippsland, where they were running 270-day recovery periods for many years, and those animals were not comfortable on that feed. So if it's being done again and again and again, they don't enjoy it. I think that I would still like to, 9 out of 10 times, calve or lamb into Sabbathed paddocks. Because A, the stock are comfy, B, there's lots of feed nearby, so C, you can have a long graze period without much trouble and not having to move them all the time when they're busy calving or lambing. Jeff chose to give this a good graze the first time round, and that it responded to that. I think the regrowth was obviously quite good, otherwise you wouldn't have come back 50 days later and then 50 days later again, sort of thing. and we observed that this was holding on when the other spots had dried off already in number 1. So obviously that Sabbathing had allowed it to not use as much water in that period, as opposed to the grazing, regrow used more of the water in the soil profile. Yeah, you've taken a bit out of this paddock, if you want to call it that, to help you achieve the time out that you've needed in the others, which in a way was a return that you've gained from having Sabbathed it for a year. So if you'd like to now run a cage in here and develop those plants up a little bit more, that would be good.
It's just a whole new level of management, I think, and knowledge, and much better for plants. I can see that already.
Too much worry about animal performance, well then your pasture goes to pot. Too much worry about pasture, animal performance goes to the pot. We're trying to get to a balance where we're doing something good, something better than we were doing before for our ecosystem and ecology, so that the biology can follow and we can have this biodiversity. What we're trying for all the way along is balance, balance, balance.